Did you know that there is a town on the island of Santorini that has been preserved like Pompeii, although this one contains no human remains? Hello and welcome to World History Encyclopedia. My name is Kelly and today's video is all about Akrotiri and the eruption of Thera, sometimes referred to as the Aegean's Pompeii. Don't forget, the easiest way to support us is by giving this video a thumbs up, subscribing to our channel and hitting that bell icon for notifications so you don't miss out on any new uploads. World History Encyclopedia is a non-profit organisation and you can find us on Patreon, a brilliant site where you can support our work and receive exclusive benefits in return. Your support helps us create videos twice a week, so make sure to check it out via the pop-up in the top corner of the screen or via the Patreon link down below. Often referred to as the Pompeii of the Aegean, Akrotiri is a settlement that was completely covered by pumice after the eruption of Thera in the late 17th or early 16th century BCE. Thera, the name of both the island and the volcano, erupted and conserved the site, much like the site of Pompeii after the eruption of Vesuvius in 79 CE. The site of Akrotiri was discovered on the modern-day island of Santorini in the 19th century, with the excavations beginning in 1967 under Spiridon Marinatos and continuing from 1974 onwards under Christos Doumos. The town, its paved streets, buildings, artifacts and detailed wall paintings have all survived and give us a glimpse into the life of the Middle Bronze Age in the Aegean. The site of Akrotiri has been named after a local town on the island of what is now Santorini, but we don't know what it was once named. Dating to the middle of the 5th millennium BCE, a settlement was founded, and this late Neolithic coastal village had an economy based on farming and fishing. By the early Bronze Age, so during the 3rd millennium BCE, the village had grown, and although there wasn't that much of an increase in buildings, there was an increase in movable goods like pottery, figurines, and marble vases. What's interesting about the marble vases is that good marble can't be found on Thera, so they would have had to either import the raw material and have the vases made locally, or they imported the vases already made from other Cycladic islands, like Paros or Naxos. During the early Bronze Age, there was a cemetery of rock-cut chambers in use, but in the early Middle Bronze Age, around 2000 BCE, the city expanded over the cemetery, which was filled in. The fill of the cemetery has pottery shards from large amphorae and black-brown burnished pottery, all of which would have been obtained in Thera through trade, and suggests healthy trade relations throughout the Aegean were already in place. Akrotiri was well placed between Minoan Crete and Cyprus, a particularly lucrative position to be in since Cyprus was a huge source of copper. Being in the middle of the metal route between Crete and Cyprus meant that Akrotiri became an important centre for metalwork. The Middle Bronze Age saw Akrotiri develop into an urban centre with roads, city planning, drainage and sewer networks. They mass-produced pottery decorated with lustrous paint, lines, plants and animals, and many other images. Various artisans worked in Akrotiri, such as masons, carpenters, dyers and shipwrights. Stratigraphy of the city shows that the town experienced numerous earthquakes, and there is evidence of repair and rebuilding of structures following destructive earthquakes. The prosperity of Akrotiri came to a sudden end in the late 17th or early 16th century BCE, when earthquakes at a 7 on the Richter scale destroyed the town and created 9-metre high tidal waves. As if that wasn't enough, after these damaging events, it may have been a couple of days later, but Thera erupted and released an estimated 15 billion tonnes of magma into the atmosphere. If that sounds big, you'd be right, since it was one of the largest volcanic eruptions in the last 10,000 years. The whole island was covered in a thick layer of ash, and the ash travelled to Crete and Anatolia, and the site of Trianda on Rhodes was destroyed. The dating of the eruption of Thera is still in debate, with two contrasting chronologies being in play: low and high chronology. High chronology is the more recent dating, and using scientific evidence from radiocarbon dating, tree rings, and ice cores, this all indicates an eruption in the late 17th century, somewhere probably between 1660 and 1613 BCE. This by no means has been confirmed, but culturally speaking, the eruption fits into late Minoan 1A, but the actual date, that is still being discussed and debated to this day. Along with the question surrounding the dating of the eruption is the question of the eruption's impact on the Minoan civilization on Crete, and whether it played a role in the culture's downfall. After the earthquakes and then the eruption of Thera, there is evidence of tephra from the volcano reaching some areas of Crete, which means that damage to vegetation and livestock may have affected food production and agriculture in these regions. In some areas after the eruption, some spaces that were used as cultural or communal spaces were transformed into storage areas. Entranceways were narrowed and access to the palatial centres were closed off. The peak sanctuaries of Crete were abandoned, and cult practices seem to have been taken up in the palatial complexes instead. All of these changes after the natural disasters indicate that the Minoans on Crete were dealing with physical and psychological damages, but the culture still continued to thrive on the island until the widespread destruction of their centres in around 1450 BCE. Just like the site of Pompeii, Akrotiri was completely covered in ash, and so was preserved in time. Unlike Pompeii though, no human remains were found on Akrotiri, and evidence at the site shows that there was an attempt to clear rubble. This means it was likely that there was a gap between the earthquakes and the eruption, and many of the residents had likely already fled the town before the eruption. What we do have is a lot of artifacts, and much like Pompeii's plaster casts, archaeologists have been able to fill hollows left by disintegrated furniture and recreate things like offering tables, chairs, and beds with plaster. Although there were no human remains found, the buildings and architectural features, decorations, and movable goods were all preserved by the eruption. The town was well planned and had squares and wide streets, with each building facing onto either a square or a street. The buildings ranged in size, and many of them were multi-stories. And many of the architectural features preserved at Akrotiri feature in the Minoan sites on Crete, like large halls, lustral basins, ashlar masonry, and horns of consecration. However, one of the most fascinating discoveries at Akrotiri is the fact that almost all of the buildings had painted designs on the interior walls. The Akrotiri frescoes in both art style and subject also show influence from the Minoan civilization, with religious processions, goddesses, lilies, and crocuses, but they also show some Mycenaean influence, with the depiction of griffins and boar's tusk helmets. These frescoes also show the people of Akrotiri's love of the sea and sea animals. They show girls gathering saffron, fishing and seafaring, as well as exotic animals like monkeys and antelopes. Not only were these frescoes large and colourful, but they have been so valuable to our understanding and knowledge of Bronze Age clothing, jewellery and hairstyles, armour, weapons, architecture, landscapes and crafts. Some of the most recognisable frescoes from the site of Akrotiri are the Boxers fresco from room B1 of building Beta of two boys boxing, the Fisherman fresco from room 5 in the west house of a male figure holding two bunches of fish, the Ladies fresco from room 2 of the House of the Ladies, which depicts women wearing colourful Minoan-style dress, the Lilies fresco from room 2 of building Delta, which depicts either colourful lilies or papyrus growing, the Monkeys fresco from room B6, which depicts blue monkeys, the Papyrus fresco from the room of the Ladies, showing papyrus flowers growing in groups of 3, and which covered 3 walls, and the Ship fresco, which is a 6-metre fresco from the southwest wall of room 5 from the West House, which shows a procession of ships in miniature. The detailed and colourful frescoes weren't the only valuable finds from Akrotiri. Other finds include Cretan and Mycenaean pottery, impressions of seal stones or signet rings that show Minoan iconography, Minoan loom weights, Canaanite jars, the Minoan Linear A script, and items made from materials of Egyptian origin like ivory and ostrich shells. All of these finds show the importance of Akrotiri as a trading centre in the Aegean until its final destruction. If the Theran eruption has caught your interest, then I would highly recommend picking up the novel Swallow's Dance by author Wendy Orr, which is a middle grade story that portrays the eruption and its aftermath, as well as her related books, Dragonfly Song and Cuckoo's Flight. If you want to know more about Wendy Orr and her Bronze Age Aegean novels, you can find our interviews with her in the description down below. Would you have left the island after the earthquakes? What do you think it would have been like to be a refugee in the Aegean Bronze Age? Let us know what you think in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on our new videos every Tuesday and Friday. This video was brought to you by World History Encyclopedia. For more great articles and interactive content, head to our website via the link below. Don't forget that you can find World History Encyclopedia merch at our shop at worldhistory.store, or you can find the link for it under the merch tab down below. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you soon with another video.